peace, everyone. Welcome back, welcome back. I realize it's been a while since I actually did a live freeform lock update. I started my freeform locks back in 2020, I think it was. I started my actual locks way back, like when I was a junior in college. I was like 21, around that age. And so, yeah, I've been holding on to these bad boys for a minute. But I wanted to, in this video, I know this is very serious topics. I wanted to address my analysis on it. I see that there are a lot of different perspectives on the kind of underpinnings of Takeoff's untimely death and murder. I noticed, though, that there's a theme with people's analysis that people are attributing his murder to some kind of Illuminati ritual, like they're linking it to astrology, saying that it's in alignment with the stars and the moon and all of this and the planets. And I'm just like, it's funny though, no one is stating the obvious, and the obvious is like right in plain sight. Okay, so I'm gonna try to multitask in this video. But I'm like, I can't believe no one is touching on the fact that these are gang members, okay? These are gang members. Everyone is saying, oh my gosh, they killed them. The Illuminati, saying they mean like the Illuminati or the power structure. It was a setup. It was a setup, all right, but everything doesn't have to be traced back to the Illuminati, right? Or the white power structure, or white people, which that's apparently the narrative, the common thread that a lot of people are resorting to. You guys feel free to chime in and leave your comments below. But here in this video, I am going to address my take on Takeoff's untimely murder from the context of gang-related activity, right? Now, it reminds me of when Nipsey Hussle was murdered, right? And I think it irked me that a lot of conscious leaders would sort of reduce it, like in my mind, because I was living back in Los Angeles at the time when Nipsey Hussle got murdered. And I actually lived right down the street. I was living like in South Central, right there in the 60s, right? And I was listening to people's take on like what caused his murder, and they were just saying, oh, it was just gang-related stuff, right? And I think it really irked my freaking nerves. But now that I think about this particular instance of Takeoff's murder, it should not be excluded, right? The idea of the fact that the whole entire Migos were a gang. I just got out the shower, you guys. I'm definitely gonna try to multitask here in this video. I'm giving y'all like a 2-for-1. My hair is like very wet still. I had to turn on my AC because I'm gonna freaking burn up in here. But I think people are excluding this idea. Like, I haven't seen not one reporter, I have not seen not one person who has given their take on this tragic situation talk about the fact that it's gang related. It is. And I'm going to tell you guys how. Now, speaking from my own personal experience, and I have to just put it out there that I am not affiliated with any gang, okay? That is not my cup of tea. I think I have way too much intelligence for that. But I have worked in the prison system with gang members. I worked out in California for California Department of Corrections, Department of Justice, and over 90, I would say over 95, very high percentage of inmates there were there for crimes that they committed in connection to a gang. So I'm speaking from my professional experience and knowledge of what I know about gang behavior, and not just professionally but personal. Now, like I said, I'm not attached to any gang, but I have dated men who were attached to a gang. I feel like it's not uncommon for any one of us to be associated or have some kind of affiliation with someone who is attached, who is directly attached to a gang. So that definitely has been my experience. Like, I'm from Jacksonville, Florida. I currently live in New York City, but I'm from Jacksonville, Florida. And anybody know anything about Jacksonville, Florida, it's like has a very, very high murder rate. A lot of people down there have a sense of hopelessness because there aren't that many opportunities, right? So that's another thing I want to speak on in the context of gang-related activity. Like, what does gang-related activity stem from? And I think we all know this, right? It's like a common narrative that people who join gangs are seeking acceptance, right? They're seeking to be included. They're seeking a family. They're seeking to be loved, to have someone who cares about them, because that's what they are lacking in their own personal life, within their own childhood development, right? So that, yes, that's true. But it's so many other factors that are attributed to why people join gangs, right? Yes, it's a need for affiliation, a need for acceptance, a need to be included in a family because they're lacking in that, right? That a sense of connection. That's like a basic primal need that we all have. But systemically, there are, I think, a lot of barriers that we kind of push under the rug for Black people, men and women alike, to excel, right? To move up the ladder, the socioeconomic ladder. There's so many barriers that a lot of Black people, especially Black men, because they are targeted at disproportionately higher rates than any other group of people, by the criminal justice system, by these systems that have been strategically designed to keep Black men at the bottom, right? So they lack these opportunities, right? They don't feel like, you have to just look at what is a systemic reality in this context that has created so many, right? It's not just, okay, a group of people, right, or a handful. This is a whole, across the board, right? We're talking about across the United States. This is a whole conglomerate, right? It's like, it's almost like in the millions of Black men whose identities are shaped by these unfortunate realities of our society. So let's talk about that, right? These lack of opportunities, right? The level of disrespect. Like, you're looking at the psyche of a Black man, and a Black man that will drive a Black man to pick up a gun and to shoot. I mean, when you think about it, he's shooting himself, right? When a Black man is shooting and killing someone else. Try to multitask here, okay? I'm going to get into this, and like I said, you guys feel free to drop your comments below. This is my rose water spray. So when a Black man picks up a gun, subconsciously or deliberately, and shoots another Black person, shooting his reflection, over the most menial, simplistic thing, right? Just mindlessly, you have to think that this is stemming from something much deeper than what was on the surface, right? Everyone is talking about that it was a dice game, that they were playing a dice game, and yes, right? The dice game is like the stage for what was happening, set the stage for what was happening, but underneath what the dice game, you can look at this dynamic that was at play, right? Now, of course, we don't know much about who was there, but what we do know, let's go based on the facts. What we do know is that these men were gang affiliated. I mean, looking at the videos, and granted, like, I listen to some of their music, right? Like, some of the music, you got a nice beat. I bump my head, you know. I vibe to some of their music. But one thing that is very clear in all of their videos is that they're throwing up the gang signs. think it's just become so commonplace that we have turned like a blind eye to it. It's become like so just in your face, just so regular, right? But, okay, what is this, right? What is this? What is this? What is this, right? Everyone knows that this is, what's this? Crip killer, right? I'm throwing them gang signs. This. Like all of those are gang signs. So they're making it very clear. They're wearing colors to proclaim, to show their gang affiliation. Let's break down gang culture. Some people don't really know much about it. They heard about it, they see it in the media, but they don't really know about it directly, right? As I said before in the beginning of this video, that I worked in the prison system with gang members, right? And aside from that, I went in with a certain degree of knowledge and experience. I thought it was funny, like on my first day, this was actually one of my clinical rotations en route to my PhD in clinical psychology. But I found it funny on one of my first days of orientation, my supervisor, a white man at the prison, he had developed this running sheet of terminology and words that gang members would use. Gang members, right? I look at them as just black people. I think I still have that list. I gotta dig it up, yo. But it's a list of terminology of phrases of words that he says gang, like you would hear gang members using. He translated it, right? As if he's teaching us. And granted, I'm the only black person there. I'm the only black intern working there. I'm amongst a bunch of white women. So I get that the paper, the sheet, was useful for them, but I'm just like, I'm looking at the terms, and I kind of felt offended. I'm just like, hold up, this is some racist shit, right? And hearing him like say the terminology, I felt it was it just did something to me, because I'm just like, I felt like he's coming from his perspective, and he's like pointing out things that this is language that a lot of us use in our everyday vernacular, right? Like homie, for example. Like homie is something that a lot of people from the West Coast use just in regular everyday speech. OG, right? And so I remember him like going through the list with us, and he's having us read it out loud, and he's reading certain phrases out loud, and he's like speaking about these phrases in a very dehumanizing, dismissive, and like inconsiderable way. Like he's coming from a context, from his perspective as a white male clinical psychologist, not knowing anything really about like gang. Like you have to come from this culture to really know. Like I said, I'm not affiliated with the gang culture, but I feel like there's a lot of overlap between gang culture and just simply black culture. That's why when you hear a lot of people giving their commentary on what happened, even including black conscious leaders, they're saying we, right? When they're speaking about the actions and behavior of these black men, a part of the Migos group or gang, right? They're saying we need to do better. Because yes, there is overlap. We're talking about ourselves, right? It's like we can't even make that divide when it comes to them and us. The Migos or us, because we are them and they are us, right? We're black people. And a lot of what these people do, gang members do, it just stems from black culture. That's simply just what it is, right? Now, of course, you're going to have some black people watching this, and they're going to, distinguish themselves, right, and try to make delineations and say, oh, well, no, that's them, right? But the fact of the matter is that there's a lot of overlap. So I thought that was something very funny and very telling about, I found that it was very telling of our culture and looking at those lists of terminology and how other people view us, right, and the language that we use just in everyday speech, right? But he's pointing these things out to educate us, to give us pointers, to say, hey, pay attention, right? Pay attention to these phrases, pay attention to these words of the inmates, so that you'll know where they're coming from. You'll be able to understand, because obviously an essential part of doing psychotherapy is communication and being able to understand a person's vernacular. Being able to align with the way they're communicating, right? I didn't need that sheet of paper. I have to say that. I didn't need that sheet of paper. I thought it was kind of funny, if anything. I felt like they were kind of missing us. Like the paper was dismissive, and it was just like missing the essence of who we are, and reducing the way we speak to some gang-related violent type of behavior. So that's like what I felt in that moment. And I had to say to him, like, of course I spoke up. I'm always, like, I'm very outspoken, even amongst my professional circles. Like, I don't hold back, and I have to advocate. I have to advocate for the black community. Like, that's my role. I feel like that's my purpose. That's my mission, to speak up, because we are oftentimes misunderstood. So I had to say that. But going back to this context of gang culture, one must understand, and when we tie it back to the events of what actually happened on that night, and people are making it like this mystical night, right? Happened October 31st, right? It must be Illuminati related, right? There must be an Illuminati ritual. Now, of course, you can link it to that, but for me, I'm linking it more so to the immediate events of what was happening, and looking at the context, the dynamics, and the factors, the facts of what we know is true. Given that, yes, these men were gang related, and we know about gang culture, right? That what's most important when it comes to gang culture. I'm trying to multitask here, but what's most important? What is most important? Respect, okay? Respect is definitely at the top of the list. I mean, we see that just in black culture. Like I said, there's a lot of overlap, a lot of similarity between gang culture and so-called black culture. A lot of similarities. But respect is definitely at the top of the list. And what did we see in that video that night? This feels so good. I love when I massage my locks. But what did we see in that video? One could look at that video, right? And if you were amongst those people, which most of us obviously weren't, somebody felt disrespected. I mean, we got a little clip, a brief clip of what was said, some of the words that were exchanged. But you can tell it was bad energy amongst those people who were there. I'm going to give you guys an example, right? Because like I said, I'm speaking from my own professional and personal experience. But I remember I was dating this person, this guy. This was back in Florida. He identified himself as a blood. For me, none of that really was important to me. I'm not gonna say that it makes sense, but it wasn't important to me, right? What was important to me? I mean, obviously, it was still important to me, right? My values, my education, and family, and having kids, and love. That's important to me, right? So that's more so what I focus on, and yeah, he met a need at that time. But I'm going to give you guys an example of something exchange that happened. So I was dating this guy who identified himself as a blood. And I also, at the same time, had a best friend, a male best friend. Now, he wasn't gang affiliated, but he came from a family that was Crips, right? Now, he himself didn't identify as a Crip or any gang affiliated identity. But his family that he came from was Crip. I wouldn't say he didn't necessarily like he had an edge about him, though. I have to say, I'll admit, he had an edge about him that kind of communicated Crippish behavior, right? Like, even the way he dressed. He loved wearing blue. He never would identify and say that he's a Crip at all. But he loved wearing the color blue. He liked wearing like blue dickies and stuff like that, right? But anyway, so I'm trying to remember which came first. Like, I had my own apartment. I was living like 10 minutes away from Jack's Beach. I had a 2-bedroom apartment, and I'm trying to remember. So yeah, my best friend was already there at my place, right? He was already there at my place. My boyfriend at the time the blood guy. I can't give names, of course. But the blood, he showed up to visit. My friend was still there. My friend actually was my best friend. Like, I had known him before the blood boyfriend came into the picture, right? And so, well, you guys probably can't see. I know I might like freeform lock update videos. I like to show you guys what it looks like, the progress. But you can see here, like, how much it's grown since 2020. Like, you see, like, this is like the beginning of when I started it, my freeform locks. So, all right, I'm gonna have to, like, I'm not gonna be able to, like, multitask at this part because this is a really important story. So, like, let me focus. So, my best friend was already at my place. My boyfriend shows up. And the thing about, like, in the hood, like I said, I can't emphasize this enough. Y'all already know this, right? That respect is just so important. If a person feels disrespected, they feel threatened. And I think that one may question, right, if you don't quite understand this culture, you might question it was like, okay, a lot of things that black people, we are hypersensitive to, right, when it comes to disrespect, we're overly reactive to, right? When you think of people in other cultures who are, let's say, who had a normative experience in their culture, who aren't a part of a race that is dehumanized, that's targeted, that has been discriminated against, that's been marginalized. They just don't have that experience that a lot of us have, right? Yes, they may get disappointed if they're slighted or, you know, if they feel disrespected, but it's not going to, like, elevate, right, or escalate to that extent of violence. You know, the thing within black culture, because we are so hypersensitive because of these systemic racially oppressive systems and factors and intergenerational trauma that has been passed down, we're so hypersensitive that it can be just the smallest, slightest thing. This is what I want to emphasize here in this video as it relates to the contextual factors leading up to his Takeoff's untimely murder, is that it's the smallest things. Respect is so important to us. It's like the thing that we have been deprived of, and you can compare it to anything that a person lacks, or there's a deficit, or there's a void, right, or we've been deprived of, right? When a person is deprived of love, for example, a woman, let's say, for example, or even could be a man, it could be a boy, male or female. So if a person is deprived of love, something that is so important, is so vital to a person's healthy development, they didn't get that. What are they going to crave? They're going to crave that love and that attention. You know, a lot of people who have been a part of gangs, who are affiliated with gangs, I've seen this. Like, you can tell, I can see through people, you can see through their eyes, you can see the pain. You can see that all they're craving is that love and attention, right? And I kind of use that as like a catalyst and effecting change in the relationship I had with these youth, right? And the prison that I worked at served youth from age 15 to 25. These were adults, but they still were young, you know. And I can see that me giving just attention, giving them my undivided attention went so far, giving them just respect, right? Now, I know they say that respect is earned. You have to earn respect, but I didn't come from that approach to just be disrespectful or not give them, you know, respect from day one. Like, I walked in the room from day one just being respectful, right? Showing them, being a leader, being a role model, showing them, okay, that, first of all, if I want respect, then I have to give respect, you know? And if I want this relationship to be nurtured, right, and to be conducive to their progress, to their healing journey, then I must step in from day one and demonstrate a very respectful stance. We, as black people who've come from that type of experience of being disrespected. Like, we talk about the most disrespected group of people in humanity has to be black people. Like, look at what they do to us in the media. Look at how we've been treated historically. When you look at the historical pictures of what whites have done to black people and the lynchings and the hangings, you talk about the uttermost form of disrespect and humiliation and degradation. So you think about how much that is ingrained, deeply ingrained in our DNA, in our fibers of who we are. We're hypersensitive to that, right? And as we should be. When you think about it, yes, a lot of us, we still need to get treatment. We need to get therapy for that, right? Because that's not how we should be. When I say, like, rightfully so, it's like, yes, because that's a natural human response to trauma, right? We're supposed to be hypervigilant. It's a protective mechanism to help keep us safe, right? Especially in that immediate moment, in that immediate reaction to that trauma. But the unfortunate thing about people who have these lingering adversive effects of trauma, when it goes untreated, is that it leaves a stain on us, right? So in every environment that we go in, even when there is no danger, right? There may be some stress, right? There's conflict everywhere we go. This conflict is inevitable, right? It's going to be a constant in our daily lives until we die. But, carrying this baggage of unhealed trauma and hypersensitivity to our environment, to different cues in our environment, yes, you're going into different situations and different environments that don't really call for that level of, response, right? Hypervigilance, like the slightest little thing. Remember back in the day, of course we get our brand new shoes and a person can just bump you the wrong way or step on you, like accidentally, step on your shoe, and like that person can risk getting their life fucking killed. Your life is going to end. Right? So I feel like this is important. This perspective that I'm giving is so important because I haven't seen it addressed in this way relating to the death of Takeoff. It just hasn't. No one has addressed this. And I'm like, how can we miss this? We want to make it obviously something big. I think that's part of our cognitive dissonance, is that we feel fear. We feel afraid, we feel shame, disgust, all different sorts of feelings when this incident was brought to our awareness, right, through social media. And so a lot of times our way of dealing with cognitive dissonance is to find meaning in something, right? And in finding that meaning in that thing, we have to find value, right? And make it so that we feel better about the situation. Because, like I said, what happened to him is a reflection of us. It's like that can happen to us, right? It reflects upon the black culture, the black race, what happened to Takeoff. So to make ourselves feel better, it's like, okay, we join in with his pain, the pain of his family members, and say that, okay, this must be the Illuminati. It must hold some major significance, right? Kind of disowning our degree of responsibility in this situation, because it's easier, I think, to attribute when things go wrong for us. It's easier to make that attribution to external forces than it is to take responsibility for our own mishap, our own misbehavior, That's what it boils down to. I'm not discounting, right, or dismissing the possibility that, yes, the Illuminati, or as we call it, the powers that be, right, the white power structure, those forces that have direct control over these rappers play a role in it, or has their hand in a certain situation. I think that they're always looking like, Big Brother is always looking, right? But at the same time, when it comes to exactly what happened on that night of October 31st in front of that bowling alley, I don't think, I wouldn't go to attribute that to the Illuminati or the white power. No. I think that, and I know some of y'all watching this may easily disagree, right? You may easily be like, no. But I'm just going to say this, that I think it definitely was gang related. I think that what happened to Takeoff came as a result of the events leading up to that. So what we do know, like I said, is based on the facts, is that Quavo was in an argument, right? About, and like I said, it seems so menial, seems so minor and like petty, right? A dice game. But like I said, going back, it's not just about the dice game, it's about the respect. And it seems like Quavo had won. He won in the dice game. Other people aren't satisfied. And imagine, like, you have an audience. So if you can put, like, that's just the reason why I'm trying to conceptualize this in the context of game-related activity, right, or culture, is that if you put this in a context of a game, in the same scenario, right, in the context, pick any game that we're talking about as a serious game. Not this fucking Looney Tunes shit, right? But they take their identity and their affiliation to the game very seriously. Their reputation in that game, they take it very seriously, right? We have people onlooking. There are onlookers watching. And there is this game, this dice game. People are winning money. People are losing money. If you lose money, right, you're the one that said that losing money, and then you want to challenge a person like, okay, well, I wasn't able to beat you at the dice game, so let's play a game of basketball, for example, right? And then the person like, nah, man, nah, I'm straight. I won, you know what I'm saying? Run my money like I won. The person like, nah, walk off, right? I think that was the point at which, obviously, it triggered. Now, granted, I think the shooter was already triggered and seeing that, okay, this shit ain't going down how we expect it to go down. I also believe that even before they arrived there, right, when we talk about rituals, people think about Illuminati rituals, but no, there are gang rituals, right, in terms of initiation into a gang, and also earning stripes within that gang that people must uphold, right? So I think that situation, what played out, was a degree predestined or pre-planned in a sense, where there are people who went into that with blood on their hands. There are people who went into that private party with the intent to ensue violence. I have to pause there. They had that already up their sleeve. This is what's going to go down. Like you ever been in a situation, right? And it that's why I think a lot of people are warning people after seeing this, after being reminded of how dangerous we can be amongst ourselves in our own communities. Is like, be careful who you hang around, be careful, because we know shit can go down in any kind of way, but at the same time, yes, things can happen very spontaneously like this, right, in the hood. Like, just out of nowhere, you're like, I didn't even see this coming. But meanwhile, there are things that are predestined to happen. There are things that are pre-planned, right, unbeknownst to you, who are attending these events, right? You don't even know what you're stepping into. You thought you just went there for a dice game or just to hang out with your homies on Halloween. Not knowing on the other side, people have gambled. People are planning to gamble with your life. You think you're gambling just for money, and people are going in on the other side planning to sacrifice, to make a sacrifice, to gamble with your life. Now, one may say, well, why not Quavo? Because he was the one that was in the verbal dispute with the other person. I think that why not Quavo? Because I think that when it comes to gang violence, like they say, it don't make sense. A lot of it doesn't have to make sense, right? But why not him, though? Like, think about that. Why would they go after Quavo when they can just go after Takeoff, right? His heart, right? It's like a warning. It's like, okay, this could be you. I think that hurts even more. That's even a worse form of revenge or snapback on a person when they take someone closest to you in front of your face. You talking about, it almost would have been better for them to take Quavo, right? To take the person that is closest to you in front of your face. You talking about disrespect, yo. So it's just like, it goes back to the principle, right? That's what we're talking about here in this video. It's about principles of the matter. Respect, right? And it's an equilibrium in this, right? It's like, the amount of respect you give to another person is the amount of respect you get back. The amount of disrespect you give to the person, it can be magnified 10 times. And what you get back, that's just how it's going to go down. And it's clear that he disrespected someone in front of other people. Imagine if it was just him and the other person. Now, the other person may feel some kind of way, right? Triggered if it was just one-on-one. But we have a whole audience of people watching. And the thing about being a part of a gang, you cannot be disrespected. And you can be a part of the same gang. That's how crazy it is. Like, all of these can be on the same team, a part of the same gang. But you cannot allow a person to disrespect you in front of other people. You've seen that even in high school. You're going to let him talk to you like that? Or you're going to let her talk to you like that? And it's kind of crazy. It's almost like peer pressure, right? I've experienced that. I'm pretty sure, we all can relate to this situation, the dynamic of this situation from our own respective experiences, right? I remember, I went to a new middle school. This was after my mom and dad's separation when I was 12 years old, right? So I ended up kind of like in the middle of my middle school education. I ended up transferring to a new middle school. And it was a white school. I go from a black school to an all-white school, mostly white school, right? And I remember, like, I'm young as shit. This is middle school, yo. And my cousins, like, it wasn't a gang, but it was just like I said, it's a lot of commonalities. It's a lot of commonalities amongst gang members and amongst just the black culture. So I remember this experience so vividly because it's like, you have to save face. That's what it's about. It's about saving face in front of the people that show you respect, that mean the most to you, that give you a sense of acceptance, right, and importance. And for me at that time, that was my cousins, my male cousins. And so we were in the hallway of the school, and it was just so random. Just arbitrarily, just random. Wasn't even pre-planned. But they was like, dang, yeah. Because they know, like, I didn't really back down, right? And if anything, I was the one dictating and telling them what to do, right? They feared me. But in this instance, they tested me, and they said, I bet you won't. See that the white girl right there? I bet you won't run up to her. I bet you won't run up to her ass. And they knew I didn't back down from a dare. Like, when it came to me showing myself, and it's crazy, but I feel like this is not just specific to black culture. This is specific to just American culture, just a general culture in general, right? This is just culture, right? In terms of the socialization and being a part of a group type dynamic, this is what happens in groups. Essentially, is what I'm saying. Is that it's like you have to show yourself, and that's what I did. And I'm just like, I ain't backing down, and especially at that age too. So we're talking about developmental kind of typical behavior as a teenager, right? And so I'm like, I ain't backing down. And I walked up to that white girl. Y'all walked up to her, and I started fighting. I just started hitting. I know this girl. She did nothing to me, right? But it was just like, just only because I bet you won't do it. I bet you won't. I walked up to her, and I went straight for her head, yo. And we were fighting. Now, it's funny because looking back, like, yo, I was so skinny. I was skinny bone back then, right? I got kind of thick now. But I was skinny bone back then, and she was like 3 times my size. She was a chunky, thick white girl, yo, and she was strong. I felt her strength. Like, she had grabbed me and like kind of slung me on the desk, and I think at one point she was on top of me, but like I had hands, so I'm like just jabbing her, and eventually we got separated, got sent to in-school suspension, and I remember my mom finding out about it, and my mom usually, my mom beat my motherfucking ass anytime I fucking did anything against her rules, yo. I got so many ass whoopings to the point where I felt like I was abused growing up. But in that particular situation, my mom, she did not beat me. I thought that was a surprise. But it just goes to show how it's just in the context of certain, like, cultures, that's just kind of how shit go down. You get, and especially when there's an audience, it's like you have to perform. You have to show up. If not, then you're going to be perceived as weak. That's just the nature of the game. So when people make these reactionary videos without deep forethought and analysis and insight as to, like, what exactly is the inner workings and the dynamics of things that are at play. They just go and say, oh, we need to get together, black people this and black people that. We got to stop the violence. It's like, it's so deeply woven into our identity and who we are. So to tell a person, oh, you need to just stop the violence, you need to just stop killing people, it's almost like telling that person, you need to just change your whole identity. Because your whole, like, that's just like, that's who a person is. And who a person is shaped by so many factors, genetically and environmentally and systemically, right? So let's look at all the factors that help shape the events that led to the murder of Takeoff. That's what I want people to take look at. A deep analytical look. I like ask myself, should I just allow my hair to just truly be freeform? Because obviously I'm manipulating it. And I do this not often, right, where I actually like manipulate the sections of my locks. I have, I think, 12 of these freeform locks. It's not often that I do this. Maybe like once every, I don't know, 2-3 months. Not even that, because I've become like more, I'm doing it more like sparingly, I think, lately. But, yeah, I asked myself, should I just let it go freeform completely? And I think, going to get to that point. I think that people wouldn't understand it. And that's the unfortunate part about being, like, working within a corporate sector. Right? I actually work for the state of New York. I work at a state psychiatric hospital. And like what goes on the back of my mind is just like, okay, they're not going to understand. They already don't understand my locks, right? But even still, I actually smooth my edges before I go to work. You know, I kind of create some kind of little style to my hair. Something that can make sense. I really loved it before I actually started working at this hospital. I actually was working for a private agency. I was doing evaluations for children and adults with autism. And I was working partly remotely from home. And my hair, I ain't like do nothing to my hair. I ain't manipulate my hair. I ain't do nothing, so I just let it just be. I had nappy edges. I loved it. I actually hate manipulating my hair. I hate this. I'm like a free flowing person, yo. So this is like against my personality, but actually I took off all this week because I am about to take care of some business this week. So, you know, I feel like I have to. Alright, but yeah, going back to this, I'm about to wrap this video up. Drop your comments below and let me know what you think. I know some of y'all don't want to speak on it. I get it. Some of y'all don't want to speak on it. And that's cool too. But yeah, I think it is what it is. And so I think that on the flip side, like what we don't know is who exactly was at that private event. Apparently everybody wasn't on the same page, so we can infer that there were a group of people who weren't quite gelled with them, right? It's one thing, I think it's layers to fidelity, it's layers to loyalty and to gain fidelity, or, you know, having that bond. It's layers to it, right? And even within the same gang, not everybody is on the same page. Not everybody is tight, you know, with each other like that. And it's just a lot of backbiting too, even in amongst gangs. It gets very, it gets like very intricately kind of complicated sometimes. It's like chess, not checkers. And the role that I would say outside forces could play, that you know they don't have our best interests, is that they sometimes create divide, just as they have already done, and they're continuing to perpetuate a divide within the black community on a macro level, right? They do it even within these certain sects, these groups of people who have this affinity and this bond towards each other, you know. And that could have easily been pre-calculated, predetermined, pre-planned. Maybe the person, the target victim, wasn't identified beforehand to say, okay, well, you're gonna go in. That's the one you're gonna snag him. Maybe they didn't go to that extent. A lot of times when it comes to gang initiation and earning your stripes in gangs, they may not identify, okay, you go do this to that person. It could just be, hey, you go kill somebody, you know? No matter who, just kill somebody, right? And it's up to that person who they're going to kill or who they're going to beat up very badly, right? The person, the victim, don't even have a clue. Like, well, damn, I ain't even see this shit coming. What the fuck? Like, what? You know? They don't even see it, and that's my point. That's why I think there's a lot of confusion, even amongst the people who were present. Like, what the fuck? Right? Because gang activity is very secret. Things that happen in gangs is just like, it's zip. Keep your mouth closed. They're speaking code a lot for that very reason, so that the truth does not get out, right? Only certain people are made aware, and there's a culture of silence, okay? You keep your fucking mouth zipped and closed. You do not say what goes down or what's about to go down. If you do, that's going to be your head, because everybody, we're all on the same page, right? Everyone who is a part of this knows what's about to go down. So the word got out, everybody's going to be held accountable, right? And somebody is going to take responsibility for the word, because nobody should have known. That's going to be presumption. Like, no one, how did they know? Oh, because one of the people who knew the shit was about to go down is the one who told. And notice that person who had that camera, and it was holding something red in their hand. I'm like, what the fuck are they holding? Look at that video. The video that shows us the verbal dispute that happened before the shots went off. That person that is holding that camera, trying to hold it inconspicuously. You notice that? He didn't want to be seen, right, holding that camera. Because the video would have been a lot clearer if he didn't care about being seen. He knew that his life was going to be threatened if he was seen recording that, what happened. Because shit not supposed to get out. Supposed to be kept secret. I need to re-up on this, get some more. But, yeah. Just goes to show, right? You go down in the Ville. You go down in the Ville. You go down in the... Oh, shit. I heard it getting on something else behind me. Those are my thoughts. I know everybody got their analysis, but like I said, I think that it's very peculiar that no one linked it to gang behavior. No one. When these are clearly their gang members. So I look at it like, yo, this is just how shit is going down. Like, this was bound to happen no matter it being Halloween or what time of year it is. Gang activity happened throughout the year. Stupid shit. We all know this, right? This is publicized to the extent that it is because I'm like, what is that blowing? But look, like there's the leaves falling from the trees. These gang activity happens. Stupid shit happen. People say, well, it doesn't make any sense. Right, gang, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not affiliated with no gang because I am too smart for it. It doesn't make sense. Right? If we're going to do some gang-related shit, let's tear down a system of white supremacy. Let's be on some real smart, educated, progressive, revolutionary stuff. Not on some, oh, you won the dice game. You don't want to challenge me at a basketball game, so I'm mad. Now I'm going to shoot you because I feel disrespected. Like, no. I'm too wise for that. Right? I'm too much of a deep analytical thinker to be that reactionary and impulsive to not thinking about the consequences of my actions and seeing how this negatively, like this sets us back as a community. Like I'm killing my own brother, I'm killing my own reflection, right? So I could never be a part of a gang, especially the way gangs are set up now, right? It's all about really the victims. The harm is being caused to our own people, not to the system that's oppressing us. So that shit don't add up. That shit don't make sense. I couldn't be a part of something that don't make fucking sense like that. Shit. This is the reason why I kind of say I want to let my shit go together because this y'all be sticking together, yo. It grow together by itself anyway. But life is definitely going to carry on. And of course, there are going to be more people. Like, he's not the only person, gang member who's going to die. A lot more people. And I made a post. Some people thought it was funny. I thought their reaction to my post was funny. I didn't say it to be funny. I said it very seriously to say that everybody want to be a rapper until it's time to be a rapper. It's the same thing about being a gang member or a thug. Everybody want to be a thug until it's time to be that. It's what you signed up for. You know that life is very dangerous. And yes, it can come with its benefits, its incentives, right? Certain protections to a certain extent. But a lot of those principles, it's like people don't even uphold their own principles in the game. You can be the one that's want to uphold it and have your loyalty to the game and the rules and all of that. But other people don't. So then what? You just start looking stupid. You know, and it gets so convoluted into the extent where these gangs, right, there's so many different sects. You can have the Bloods, but there's so many sects within the Bloods at the same time. You don't know what other sects have their intention set on, right? There isn't a party you invited to. You think it's just, oh, okay, we're just hanging out, we're just shooting dice. And then you wanting to keep your affiliation, your loyalty to your brothers in that gang, decide to, all right, I'll go. Let's can't be that bad, right? It's harmless, right? Going to a crap shoot, you go, and then you they said that he was one of the most like kind of laid back members of the group. Ain't mean no harm to nobody. And look, those are the ones that usually be the targets, though, right? You got motherfuckers that commit crimes in gangs, and part of their initiation or earning their stripes in a gang, they target weak people. Yeah, you can gain like more respect and honor by going after the big dogs, but a lot of times it's levels to it, right? So just getting your foot in, right, or earning the little small little stripes, you go after the little weak people, right? That's what they did, and whoever killed them earned some stripes. Nobody ain't saying nothing. I think, honestly, that private party was filled with gang members. Everybody there, even the women. I don't think nobody would be in that motherfucker if they wasn't gang affiliated. That's my honest take. Y'all can let me know what y'all think, but I think that's the truth. Nobody was not there who was not gang affiliated. It was a certain kind of party. Everybody that toting. Texas is an open carry state, just like Florida. I find it funny. When I first moved to New York, I moved to New York in 2014 from Atlanta, and I remember people giving me warnings. Oh, you better get you some pepper spray. Or you better do, like, nigga, I'm from the hood, okay? You know, I'm not sitting here trying to toot my own horn, act like I'm the biggest, baddest, but when you've been exposed to so much growing up, I ain't just recently got exposed, nigga. I grew up in a certain type of neighborhood, right? Like, I grew up north side, Jacksonville, Florida, okay? Florida, they call it the Gunshine State. Jacksonville, the bang 'em where they hang 'em. Like, they don't have no good reputation. Nothing good out of Jacksonville. I mean, good do come out of Jacksonville, but Jacksonville really is not known, right, for good shit, especially in the news. It's bad shit. I got about that shit for a reason, but I thought it was funny when I moved from Atlanta to New York. People were warning me that, oh, I need to, get some maize and wash my bag and be careful. And it's just like, when you're exposed to it so much, you become desensitized to it. It don't fade me now. I've been around a lot of people with guns, carrying guns. Like, New York is a different kind of state. It's not open carry. Yeah, there are niggas that got guns, but it's more dudes shaking people here in New York. It's a different vibe. In Georgia, yeah, there's a lot of guns. The people I was around, they all carry guns. These was niggas, okay? And at some point I had to give up that shit and give up my affiliations to people like that because, it definitely puts you at risk, right? And so people, in responding to what happened are warning black people like, oh, be careful who you hang around. Too late, Not really too late because, you can change your affiliations, but it's just like a lot of people have these deep-rooted ties with people in gangs or people in the hood that one incident ain't gonna change nothing. Them seeing that what happened to him, that's not making a difference in their life because they already exposed to that. This is not new information. It's nothing new. It's unfortunate, but it's not. Don't act like this is new. That's happened, and there's more of it gonna happen. That's why, it's the way it is. And white people don't have to have their hand in anything. White people make money. That's the name of their game. They make money. Yeah, you have certain secret groups within white supremacy that feed off of blood, right? They love the blood, especially of black people. But they can just get us to do their dirty work. They ain't got to do it. And we're going to do it anyway. They ain't even got to get us to do their fucking dirty work. Like, that's already happening anyway. Due to our own fucking ignorance. Don't blame white people. What the hell we want to do? So, it is what it is. You got, in gangs, you got niggas targeting people grandma. Targeting people baby mamas. Like, you know, the so-called weak people. They targeting the weak people, and that's all they did with him. I am done. So good. Yes, honey, yes. The people who know better already are staying away from ignorant shit. Those of us who know better, and those of us who don't give a fuck and don't got shit to lose, this little one incident ain't waking their ass up. But I thought, you know what I thought was hilarious, though, was a reaction from some rapper. What's his name? I forget the dude's name, but he was on there crying, talking about he done with rap. You know, that crying, talking about I'm done with rap. I'm done with rap. I ain't going back to rap. I'm done with it. I can't take this shit no more. I'm like, I thought that shit was hilarious. But yeah. Did I finish my story about, sometimes I get sidetracked. So, with the story of me dating that blood and my best friend came over. Yeah, he got, and it's just easily triggered. He felt disrespected because I had him over, but it was more of the blood trying to show my best friend, like, he running shit. They don't give a damn. So my best friend, he always was toting. The blood that I was dating, he pulled out. I don't even think I knew he had it, but I knew he was toting. I guess I didn't think he would pull it out. He pulled the gun out on my best friend in my apartment, and I'm just like, nah, I didn't expect that. I'm just like, I'm sitting, I had to come in front of my best friend and talking to my boyfriend at the time, like, I was so mad, yo. If anything, I was so angry. I was so mad at him, yo. Because I'm just like, why? How could you do this? How could you do this? Like, first of all, y'all, you in my fucking place, so that's disrespectful. Then on top of that, like, this is my best friend. He didn't give a fuck about. Niggas out there in Florida ruthless, y'all. It's just fucking ruthless. Don't give a fuck. He pulled a gun out. How she go? Obviously, it's like, you pull a gun out on somebody, nigga, you better kill their ass because they coming back for your ass. And my friend, he good-hearted people. So his intent wasn't to try to come back. Like, he knew, he just charged it to the game. Chopped it up as like, you know, this ignorant nigga shit. You know, he didn't really want to do that. And he already lived that life where he had people put guns out on him. So he could have been dead, right? He just stood his ground. You know, stood there and just like, nigga, you gonna kill me, kill me. You know? So it boiled down to, it was just like, it was pistol whipping where he was just trying to instill fear in him, forcing my best friend to remove himself out the picture. Like, nigga, this mine here. Even if y'all are friends, like, you ain't got no business over here kind of thing, right? Or even around her, like, stay the fuck away from her, right? Unless, like, I'm around or you get permission from me kind of thing. And from that, I'm just like, yo, I got on his ass. We were still fucking with each other for a little bit after that, but I had, like, nah, dog, I had to let him know. It ain't about to go down like that. I had to just cut him off, right? He was very young-minded. I remember he had brought, like, one of his female friends over. We were just hanging out. And, yo, that's why I'm so glad I'm far removed from, I'm not far removed from the hood, because I still go to the hood, like, here in New York. But I used to really be deep. Like, I used to be, like, friends, best friends, like, dating fucking motherfucking hood niggas. And I'm so glad that I'm beyond that now. But just thinking back, I remember, like, my boyfriend, the blood dude, had invited, I think, like one of his blood sisters over, like a female, basically in his gang. She came over my shit, and like we and her, like we had friction, like from off the bat, and like, like I'm the type of person I didn't really back down. I never backed down. I never backed. Like I always just like fuck it, you know. And especially you in my shit too. She was in my freaking shit. And I don't even know what started, but she was just like going off at the mouth. And that back then I never was this kind of person. Like I didn't like people just like you have to, you know, simmer down with that, right? And so she was talking about back then I used to be like, oh, I used to love me some Lil Wayne. I still think he the best rapper, but I used to love me some Lil Wayne. And I had fresh, like my locks were like still young back then, right? This was maybe a year or two after I had graduated college, right? I graduated college at 22. And so, yeah, my locks was like short. My locks was probably like here, maybe that long, right? And so she's like, and I think I was bumping Lil Wayne. I can't remember how Lil Wayne came in the picture. Maybe I think I was bumping his music, just vibing. And this bitch, she was just clearly hating for no reason. Just hating for no reason. And she was like, oh, you look like Lil Wayne. And I was like, sometimes for me, like they say how when Africans like born in Africa, when they get mad, they just get happy. Like you see a big smile on their face and it's just like, you may not never know they mad inside, or you may be confused because they got a big ass smile. So at the time I'm just like smiling, like still vibing, like untouched, right? And then she got even angrier, like her face. She was like, oh, like I can't stand bitches like you. She's like, you think you all that? You look just like Lil Wayne too. Like she was just like saying things to try to, and I was just like, I got to a point, like she was being so disrespectful, like she just didn't give a fuck, right? To the point where I told her to get the fuck out of my house. And then the dude I was dating, which was like our mutual friend, he's like, all right, come on, you know. He got her and they left. And I was just like, nigga, don't bring her back over my shit. Like, what the hell? You know, but it just goes to show you how, like, within certain gang, like, they do stupid shit. They say anything out their mouth. So I clearly think that shit, that what happened with Takeoff stemmed just from gang-related activity. That's just my stance on it. I've seen it happen over and over again, and it's like I said, it's stupid behavior. It's just stupid. But if a person already feels low within themselves, right? They already are triggered, easily triggered. You know, if they have already been disrespected and ostracized from society, you know, and just made to look at in a negative light. I mean, it's clear though, because these same people have to gain a sense of pride and a sense of importance by wearing these brands from white oppressors, you know, like that's how they gain a sense of identity, by wearing like these expensive, you know, name brand clothing. So it goes to show like the more they wear this stuff, like the more inadequate they feel about themselves inside. These are very fragile people. A lot of people who are affiliated, they're fragile. I've worked directly with these people. You can see through the core. They have this hardened core on the outside, but they're so sensitive. The slightest little thing, it like it triggers them. And sometimes they cry if they feel they can't like aggress towards you. You know, like they're so sensitive in that way. And I see that's what happened, with Takeoff. Yeah, it was just a minor disagreement over a freaking dice game. Person feel disrespected, and boom, a life is taken. So that's how ignorant shit has gotten, or that's how ignorant shit is, shall I say, in the black community. And it is what it is. Nothing is gonna change. I think that people undermine the gravity of such of an issue. I follow Dr. Umar Johnson's father, Jamal Johnson. He has his campaign, Stop Killing Us campaign, was really targeted towards black men who kill other black men, because the murder rate in Philadelphia is so high. He goes on these long ass marches to campaign against black on black crime. And he thinks it's so simple as just marching and saying stop killing us. It's like, okay, it goes to show, like, his marches, right, his efforts goes to show the level of passion he has. But in terms of strategic responses, strategic solutions that are needed to target this issue, is so multi-layered, yo. It's so intricately interwoven into every layer of our culture, our society, our identity, that is not that simple. We're talking about people coming from broken families. We're talking about people being denied resources. All the things I already mentioned in this video. It's not that simple as saying, oh, we need to stop the violence. The people that you're speaking to who may be receiving that message when you say stop the violence, those aren't the people committing the violence, right? I think it's funny that I'm watching some of these reactions from conscious leaders relating to what happened with Takeoff, and they're giving like these very motivational speeches, like, we need to stop. And it's like, the people who are watching aren't the these aren't the gang members. These aren't the people who are out there killing each other, toting guns. These are not the people. You won't be able to reach them because you got to get your ass off social media. Not to say gang members ain't on social media, but listen, you got to be up in their face. You got to be amongst them. And then you have to be able to offer an alternative to what they already have. What's better than what they got? These offers that they getting from these music labels to promote, to create music that promotes violence and the degradation of women, right? And self-hatred amongst each other in a community. What you got better than that? Because they getting paid millions from these music labels. So what you got to replace that? You ain't got shit, but oh, you need to stop this, to stop that. They don't give a fuck. These people are making money and are getting reinforced because they come from nothing. They already told you. Started from the bottom. You know, we come from nothing. We don't have nothing to lose. So they're just working their way up, right? Trying to build an empire. And they gain much respect. They get notoriety at these award shows. That's what they're getting. What can you give them in place for that? Because the music they're making and this persona and this image that they upholding is what's working for them. Even if it comes at their own sacrifice. They look at it like, listen, I already made, so many millions of dollars. I already got this image and reputation. I'm much respected. So they look at it like, okay, well, it could be worth the risk, right? Getting all these trinkets is actually worth possibly losing my life. Not every rapper loses their life, right? For not every rapper, the end result, the end of the road is death, right? Or prison. That's not true for every rapper. You look at the ones who's still alive, Snoop Dogg, right? Name the list. All from West Coast to East Coast. There's many rappers that promoted that kind of lifestyle, that out there and live that hard knock life, and they still around. Jay-Z, and they have much notoriety, much respect, right? So a lot of these young boys and men view that, okay, it's worth the chance. So this incident, while it's unfortunate, is not going to deter these young men who, for them, their only hope out the hood is getting signed to a record label or getting signed to the NFL, the NBA. Right? They say, listen, it's worth a shot. And they may feel like they got a better shot at becoming a rapper than getting signed to the NBA and NFL. That's the only way that black men get respect in this fucking country. So until we change that, until we create opportunities that they can actually make millions of dollars, right, doing the right thing, right, and uplifting our image in our community and getting in tune with our identity and where we come from and our heritage, until they are aligned with that, something that far supersedes that negative reputation that they're going after, that they're promoting for the black community, right? Can you outweigh that? Can you outweigh those rewards? Until then, a lot of us need to shut our motherfucking mouth because we have nothing to replace what they're being offered. It's a dirty game out here. On that note, I'm going to catch y'all later. Ooh. Girl, hair getting so long. Alright, catch y'all later.